Carlin Lloyd, desde la mitad de la cancha, viene. ¡Gol!
And that is the sound of soccer. And in just 30 days, tens of millions of soccer fans around the world will hear that voice as the biggest sporting event on the planet returns. Nearly 3 million tickets have been sold for the Qatar World Cup, and nearly 4 billion are expected to watch. Let's welcome in the legendary Andres Cantor, who I call the goal father, Telemundo Deportes lead broadcaster. Want to talk a lot about the Cup, but give us quickly the story of how that call came to be.
Well, I grew up in Argentina, Dave. Thank you for having me on. And I grew up listening to the games in the radio. And radio was big, and all the announcers called the goal call the same way I do. And I happen to be very lucky to be in the right place at the right time and help popularize the game of soccer through my goal call, especially in the 1994 World Cup. So I didn't invent anything. I just, popularized it a little bit more.
It is passionate, and it is probably the most imitated call in all of sports. So we are focused now on the World Cup, and much of the attention leading up has been on the venue, being on Qatar, being on the lack of human rights. How concerned are you about this venue, in particular that we've switched seasons? It's not when we typically expect it. And again, that human rights factor.
Obviously, when we go into a major tournament, whether it be the Olympics or the World Cup, you're always worried about something happening because obviously all eyeballs are there for a month. So obviously, I know there has been a lot of things written about human rights violations and so forth. Telemundo is taking the most responsible news team on site, so they will report on anything that they find factual to be reported, and I will get to call the games. Obviously, I will not live in a bubble, so if something happens during a game in the fans or with the players, protesting, which I doubt FIFA will let them, but obviously we will report it as serious as the case may be, and with all the responsibility that we have to our audience.
Should human rights be considered when selecting a venue for the biggest sporting event on the planet? And should the seasonality of it, because it's going to go head-to-head with our football versus your football?
Obviously, human rights have to be taken care of, and many other things when you select big sporting events like the World Cup, which is the biggest sporting event of them all. That I have no doubt. But then, we live in a very crazy world. Where do you take the next? I know it's coming home in 2026, but people from other sides of the world could point out many things that we don't do right in this country. I'm not obviously saying that, but it's obviously a consideration that major sports organizations have to take when they award the hosting rights to different countries. And in terms of the seasonality, I have to say that I love it that it's going to be played in November and December because the players will get there with about 21 games under the belt. Usually when the World Cup is in the summer, the big stars play about 65 matches a year. So, that is a lot. They get very tired legs when they have to play the World Cup. And now they will play only 21 games. So hopefully that will make for a better level of play.
In this country, it would help certainly if the United States succeeds. It doesn't look great. They come in with a scoreless draw with the Saudis, a 2-0 loss to Japan. What's their ceiling?
We will see. I have to say that not only for the U.S., but all the other ones that are not playing great. England hasn't had a good run lately. They did not make it to the Final Four in Nations League. Neither did France, neither did Germany. They're not playing that well, but the World Cup is a different animal. It's 7 games to get to the final. The U.S. has its final on game 1, which is against Wales. If they get past Wales with 3 points, then they get to play England on Black Friday, on the day after Thanksgiving. And if, they can beat England, then it's, on to the next round. And I don't know what the ceiling will be. But so I think everyone has to concentrate on the opening match, more the U.S. than anybody else.
Calendar's interesting. The final will be a week before Christmas on a Sunday. Are you feeling, you live in Miami, are you feeling soccer reach a new level here? And whether that be Ted Lasso or Ryan Reynolds' purchase of Wrexham or the MLS or the NWSL really growing? Are you feeling?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, soccer it keeps growing in this country. That I have no doubt. I mean, just numbers alone. You see what the media companies are paying, what NBC paid to renew the Premier League rights, what Paramount Plus paid for 4 years of Champions League, $1.5 billion. MLS broke attendance records. Telemundo will break sales records for the World Cup in Qatar. The ratings are there, the interest is there. At the grassroots level, I don't have to tell you, everyone plays on the weekend in the parks, in the Little League system, if you will. So I think there's tremendous excitement around this World Cup.
Lionel Messi, he has Brazil and France as the favorites. Agree, disagree?
Sure, whatever he says, I'll agree to. He, like a good Argentinian, doesn't want to jinx Argentina's chances. I think Argentina will be up there. Argentina's in the path to play semifinal against Brazil if all planets align. So I think whoever wins that semifinal will crown itself the champion of the world. And on the other side, France is, I believe, is on this side of the bracket. So if he said France, they have to play Argentina. So I don't think he saw the brackets. So it's going to be Argentina, Brazil on one side, and I believe it's going to be either Spain or Germany on the other side.
All right, should I try it before we go? Go!
Only one. No. There you go. Very good.
Okay.
Very
Average?
good. Yeah, very good.
Andres Cantor.
Now you have to do it for 64 games.
I don't have the passion. I don't have the pipes. You'll hear him on Telemundo and on Peacock during the World Cup. Great to see you, sir.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
I do not have the passion.
I was impressed. I was hoping you were going to give it a go. So kudos to you for that one.
He made a good point about, now, make no mistake, not a fan of Qatar hosting a World Cup because of the human rights situation. But Andres made a great point about the size being a real advantage. It was prior in Russia, the largest country in the world by area. Teams traveled 3,000, 4,000, and 5,000 miles throughout that World Cup. Now it's in the smallest country we've ever seen host a World Cup. He thinks it's a huge advantage for the teams that don't have to travel as much and the fans that are all going to see one another and interact with another. Now that's, of course, if the Qatari government treats them well, which is a big concern.
Yeah, and Qatar has been a controversial choice ever since it did win the right to host this World Cup. It's going to be interesting. You touched on it, the timing of it. He was saying that he was a fan of the November-December timeline, ratings-wise, at least here in the U.S., and you brought it up, just going up against the NFL, what that could potentially mean for ratings here. You would think it would be a huge challenge, but we will see. Maybe because of the time difference of the games, it would actually work out okay. But I think there's a lot of hype.
It won't dampen the Telemundo audience.
Not one
bit. They are passionate. All right.